Well, this is a bit problematic. Okay, for those of you who don't know, um, they're rebooting Looney Tunes again because I really don't know why. They're going the Disney route, writing nostalgia. They rebooted Looney Tunes a while ago, called the Looney Tunes Show. Um, that didn't go too well. I think there were only like 3 seasons. I didn't enjoy it, me personally, and I love Looney Tunes. like, I grew up watching Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, all those cartoons. Watched Popeye, and so Looney Tunes is something that's a little bit close to my heart. I've always watched Looney Tunes, and my favorite episodes always involved Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, and usually Daffy Duck, and Yosemite Sam. I love all those characters, but Warner Brothers has decided to let's see, what is it? They're banning Elmer Fudd's gun. So Elmer Fudd is now going to be a hunter without a gun. And that's just that's ridiculous. I mean, can anybody really imagine Elmer Fudd without his iconic rifle or shotgun? Shh. I'm hunting rabbits. and he's got that shotgun and finds Bugs Bunny and shoots him. But of course, because they're cartoons, they're immortal, they can't die. They're bulletproof and everything. So I really don't understand the logic behind this. So I'm gonna read. I've skimmed through an article talking about this. But this article is from We Got This Covered, and I read a couple of their things, and I'm not quite sure how reliable they are. But there have been several articles written on this subject, so I think we know this is the thing that they're doing. All right. This article is written by Tim Brinkhoff. I think that's how you pronounce it, Brinkhoff. I'll link the article in the description so you can go read it for yourself. Or you could just go Google, I don't know, what did I Google? At like Elmer Fudd gun controversy or something. All right. Okay, here we go. What Steamboat Willie was to Disney, a Wild Hare was to Warner Brothers. Created in 1940 under the leadership of legendary cartoonist Tex Avery. Avery. Shoot, it's Avery. It was the first short produced by the up-and-coming entertainment conglomerate to feature two of the most iconic Looney Tunes characters, Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. Definitely my favorite. Okay. The image of a short and pudgy man poking through rabbit holes with his comically oversized rifle, only to be outsmarted by the innocent little creature. Innocent? Really? Bugs Bunny? Outsmarted by the innocent little creature that he was trying to hunt down, has since become one of the most iconic images in the history of the medium. Well, that's true. Now, keep in mind, in this picture they have here, it's Elmer Fudd chasing Bugs Bunny around with a scythe. You know, the thing that Grim Reaper carries around? He didn't have a rifle in this picture, he has a scythe, which in my opinion is a little more intimidating because that's kind of a symbol of death. So, odd choice of illustration there. Let's see. For close to a century, distributor Warner Brothers reproduced this setup without alteration. That is, until now. Oh boy. This is gonna be good. In an attempt to check the spread of gun violence, oh boy, Warner Brothers has decided to replace Elmer Fudd's rifle with a scythe. So they really are doing it. I thought this was a clip from an old. Okay. So an attempt to check the spread of gun violence. I'm not sure what that means. What do they mean, check the spread of gun violence? I mean, what? Warner Brothers had decided to replace Elmer Fudd's rifle with a scythe in the new series of cartoons airing on HBO Max, of course. We're not doing guns, an executive producer of the show told the New York Times, but we can do cartoony violence, TNT, and the Acme stuff. Okay. We're not going to give our iconic hunter a rifle. We're going to give him a buttload of dynamite. He can just blow that rabbit up. Blow up the entire forest while you're at it. Just be sure you get that rabbit. Remember, kids, guns are bad. Explosives, those are okay. You can use those all you want. Oh my goodness, they are really sending mixed messages here. And the Acme stuff? Shoot. I mean, how many times have you watched Wile E. Coyote building some sort of laser out of Acme? I mean, a laser cannon you ordered from Acme. I mean, I sure hope they're going to keep those things in there. Alright, this tinkering with Fudd's arsenal is only the latest development in the long campaign to make children's cartoons less violent. Huh. Okay. Those of you who grew up on original Looney Tunes shorts and other animated classics may remember the excessively brutality with fondness. But those that never did will surely be shocked to learn what Warner Brother and their contemporaries managed to get away with. Okay, first of all, what's it? But those who never did, as in those who never watched Looney Tunes, who has never watched Looney Tunes? I mean, seriously, where do you live? What were you doing that you have never watched Looney Tunes? I mean, seriously. I mean, they've been around for, let's see, I think the first Looney Tunes short was done in, gosh, was it 38? I want to say it was 1938. So they've been around for almost 100 years. Wow. Shoot, Bugs Bunny, you're getting old. For a clear example, look no further than Disney. From cartoons centering around Goofy's struggle to give up smoking. Okay, I'm pretty sure that one was a really old one. And I don't know if I ever watched that one. I might have. But from the title, Goofy struggled to give up smoking. I feel like that's actually a good message for kids. Like, hey, if you start on this, you will be addicted, and you'll have a really hard time stopping yourself from doing this, and it could kill you later. So, I mean, I really don't see a problem with that. See, 2 wartime pictures that show Donald Duck living in Nazi Germany while wearing a swastika and quacking Heil Hitler. And, okay. That short was an anti-Nazi ad. That was not promoting Nazi propaganda. That was anti-Nazi propaganda. They were showing how bad the Nazis were. They were showing that Nazis are arming themselves. They were trying to get, at that time, they were trying to get people interested in helping the military, be it buying bonds or finding scrap metal and donating it to factories to make weapons or something. So this was just the Donald Duck living in Nazi Germany while wearing a swastika and quacking Heil Hitler. That was just mostly to raise awareness about what was happening at that time period. To the classic Pinocchio, which depicts the titular, I don't know what that word means. I'll look that up. Titular? I feel dumb for not knowing that word. And to the wooden boy drinking beer and smoking cigarettes whilst playing pool. Okay, now we'll admit, when I watched Pinocchio, I was like really little, and I saw that scene, and all the boys were turning into donkeys. That kind of disturbed me, but it also convinced me never to drink or smoke. So, because I thought, I'll turn into a donkey, and don't want to do that. I know the story about King Midas. Yeah, I was a big Greek mythology nerd when I was little. I still am, but still. That was to send a message to young kids, hey, don't do this because you will regret it. Because, I mean, you can see when Pinocchio was smoking, he got sick. When he was drinking, he got sick. When he did all this bad things, he turned into a donkey. So, that's sending a message, hey, you do all these things. If you're not careful, you'll be an ass. So, I understand where that's coming from. Although these little adult-oriented details made cartoons more realistic, okay, I'm not sure about that. The removal was probably for the benefit of younger viewers. Okay, so this is where I have a problem. See, in these old cartoons, in these old shows, these are lessons. These are things that kids can watch and learn from. Like, hey, this person did this, he regretted it, he couldn't stop doing it, and it ultimately ruined his life. Or this person did this, and it was bad things were happening, and he gave it up before it got too bad, before he lost control. So I know not to do that. That's the issue I had. Like, I've always had that kind of issue, changing stories to make it safer, but leaving out the morals, leaving out what the story means. Like, when I was little, there was a cartoon on PBS Kids. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was Super Y or something, about a bunch of storybook characters who jump from story to story to story. They would change the story. So, like, I remember Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf follows Little Red Riding Hood, eats the grandma. Little Red Riding Hood comes in. The wolf pretends to be grandma, and the wolf eats her. Then the lumberjack comes in, kills the wolf. I mean, okay, that is a very brutal and disgusting story. But the moral of the story is don't talk to strangers. That's what it was, because Little Red Riding Hood met the wolf on the road. Wolf's like, hey, where are you going? She's like, hey, I got a whole bunch of food I'm going to give to my granny. And the wolf's like, oh, that sounds good. So the moral of that story was don't talk to strangers. But in that little cartoon there, they stopped the wolf. They stopped Little Red Riding Hood from talking to the wolf at all. And basically nothing happened. They lived happily ever after. Which, I mean, everybody likes a story that ends with a happily ever after. But they took the moral of the story. They took away the consequences of Little Red's actions. And ultimately there was nothing left to learn from the story, making it less realistic at that time. Okay, nowadays, most of us don't think that tobacco belongs in children's animation. Okay, yeah, I can sort of agree with that, like younger kids, but I think that maybe when the kids are a little bit older, more mature, I'd say 9 to 12, those kinds of little shows and cartoons, they could, like Goofy struggle to give up smoking. It's the title. He's struggling to give up smoking. I think that's okay to leave in there. Let's see. Nowadays, most of us think that tobacco doesn't. Tobacco. What's wrong with me today? Nowadays, most of us don't think that tobacco belongs in children's animation after all. So maybe in a few years' time, we feel the same way about guns as well. I completely disagree with that. 100% disagree. And that's the end of the article. So, there we go. Warner Brothers is going to get rid of Elmer Fudd's guns because violence or something. They want to reduce gun violence. Which, I mean, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but gun violence is not the main... Okay, guns, I think this is a statistic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think guns only make up of around somewhere between 5 and 15% of deaths in the U.S. And assault rifles make up like 1% of that. If that, like 0.8 or something. It's close to 1%. So, I really don't understand what they're going with here. Okay, let's start with this. The plot is a hunter, alright? Elmer Fudd is a hunter. He's trying to catch Bugs Bunny, who is his prey. So the most efficient weapon for a hunter would be a rifle. But they're going to give him a scythe, which is a large, bulky weapon. It's not even a weapon, it's a tool. And, I mean, it's like the worst weapon you could try to hunt a rabbit with. I mean, and what kind of gags can you do with a scythe? I mean, remember from one episode, it was rabbit season, and there was Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Elmer Fudd there. And Daffy Duck was putting up signs all around the forest. It's rabbit season, it's rabbit season, it's rabbit season. And making rabbit tracks leading to Bugs Bunny's hole. And the camera zooms in on him. He says, it's actually duck season, but he doesn't need to know that. So Elmer Fudd thinks it's rabbit season, and he's hunting Bugs Bunny. And Bugs Bunny's like, wait a minute, it's duck season. So they go back and forth with this all the time. And Elmer Fudd catches both of them, and they argue with each other. It's rabbit season. No, it's duck season. No, it's rabbit season. No, it's duck season. So Elmer Fudd's going back and forth like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And, Bugs Bunny always he tricks. Gosh, I can't talk too fast because I'll trip over my own words. He tricks Daffy Duck into saying it's duck season. Then Elmer Fudd shoots him, and his bill wraps around his head, so he has to move his bill. He's like, that's not funny, but it's hilarious. Because, I mean, in cartoons, guns don't kill people. Unless it's like, well, like these kinds of cartoons, guns don't kill people. Because these cartoon characters are immortal. They're invulnerable. They cannot be killed. So, it's just ridiculous trying to get rid of... I mean, we're not going to do guns, but we can do cartoony violence. Because they're trying to reduce... Okay, let me read this paragraph again. In an attempt to check the spread of gun violence, Warner Brothers had decided to replace Elmer Fudd's rifle with a scythe, a universal symbol of death. All right. An executive producer said, "We are not doing guns, but we can do cartoony violence because they're trying to check the spread of gun violence." So, I really just don't understand what they're trying to do here. We're going to try to stop violence. Well, this specific kind of violence that really only makes up like 15% of the United States violence and crime rate. So we're going to replace it with this universal symbol of death. He's going to chase Bugs Bunny around the wood with a scythe. So, but TNT is okay. Explosives, rockets, those things are okay. But you better not be carrying a 22. So that's all I have for today. That's my hot take on this. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Elmer Fudd has his rifle. Oh, they're getting rid of Yosemite Sam's pistols too. I mean, his iconic pistols, his 6-shooters, they're getting rid of that. Those are gone. I don't even know what he's going to have. He might not even have anything. He might be like Woody from Toy Story, just walking around with empty holsters. Maybe he'll have finger guns. I don't know. No, finger guns are too violent. Can't do finger guns. Those are too violent. What are you doing? So that's my hot take on this today. I was going to talk about Minneapolis trying to defund the police department, but I figured that's too many people are already doing that. I might do it later. I don't know. But this really caught my eye because I am a huge Looney Tunes fan. So, oh well. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, click on the like button. Please comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I would appreciate some subscribers. So until next time, have a good day.